Do you want to become a Java full stack developer but not sure where to start? Whether to start with core Java or to build web services using Spring Boot or to get into the databases, or you want to develop front end web applications using React, or you want to understand the cloud and the AI integration part. Are you confused? Now you don't have to worry. Welcome to the Robo Dynamics Java series on Java full stack development. My name is Achala Ramakrishna and I welcome you for this full stack Java series. In this particular video, we're going to touch upon what is Java, what is full stack development, what do you mean by front end, back end, and databases. This is an important question to ask, is Java still relevant? And we're going to touch upon the modern topics like what is Kafka, what is microservices, what do you mean by cloud, and the AI integration to our Java web applications. And finally, I'm going to talk about the kind of project which we're going to build as part of this Java full stack series. What is Java? Java is a powerful object-oriented programming language. Java is is the de facto language for building the enterprise applications. A lot of applications have been built using Java. In the banking and finances and insurance and the securities domain, Java has been extensively used. You can actually build REST APIs, build cloud applications. You can also build mobile applications. So Java is in billions of devices. Java has a very long history from past 25 years, the kind of applications which we have built. Now, why should you learn Java? First of all, there are other languages like C++, Python, and you have C Sharp, and you have Scala and all. Why should you learn Java? One of the benefits you get a strong foundation. So you, in terms of programming, in terms of object oriented concepts like abstraction and encapsulation and polymorphism and inheritance, you get a very strong programming foundation. The second thing is the kind of the companies which use Java, like from the banking domain, from the finance domain to securities to manufacturing, lot of enterprise systems, Java has been uh, the core language to use. You can develop backend applications like using Spring Boot REST services. You can develop microservices using Java. So that means you can use any front end like React or Angular or Vue and use Java. So most of the companies, what they have is they already have their enterprise systems built in Java. So they develop Spring Boot or REST services, and they use React as a front end and then try to show the dashboards and all kind of applications. Now, this is very interesting. We are living in the world of 2026, and basically nowadays we talk about asynchronous event driven streaming, how to build applications using AWS or Azure or Google Cloud platform, how do you do AI integrations and all. Now Java full stack development embraces developing asynchronous applications using Kafka, integrating with AI and etc. Java has grown, Java full stack has grown. Now, this is interesting. What is Java full stack development? So, typically, if you see in software development companies, you have front end developers who got good experience in developing web applications using React or Angular or Vue. There are backend developers who are good at Hibernate and Spring, and there are database developers who are extremely good at writing stored procedures, etc. Now, when you talk about a full stack developer, the one he is the person or she is the person who can develop front end, the back end, and the database, everything together. So, Java full stack developer is a role who can build the full application rather than doing the pieces of it kind of thing. Now, what are the typical What do you mean by front end technologies? This is the visible part of the application. What the customer sees is the front end. HTML does the structure of the web application. CSS provides the styling, makes it look good. JavaScript does the interactivity part. JavaScript gives life to your web application. Bootstraps make it responsive, and React is a way to build the modern web applications. So you build your forms and buttons and pages and tables, the dashboards and all kind of things. The percentage of Java full stack developers having skill in front end technologies is very low. So if you happen to be a Java full stack developer who is good at front end, you have got a lot of advantage. Yeah. Now, what do you mean by backend technologies? Like for a Java full stack developer, backend technologies meaning knowing core Java thoroughly, how the Spring framework, how to build Spring Boot applications, how to develop REST web services. Instead of writing SQL manually, how do you write Java objects and using Hibernate, which internally you write using Hibernate API or HQL, etc., or the Java persistency API, which internally calls the SQL part. So I can tell you in the market, uh, the number of backend developers are pretty high. The one who actually do the REST web services and Hibernate and Spring part. Now, the third aspect of Java full stack development is on the database technologies. So you have lots of RDBMSs like Oracle or SQL Server, Ringrest, PostgreSQL, MySQL, etc. So a typical Java full stack developer has to be very good at databases. They needs to know about how to create tables, how to create indexes, how to tune the SQL queries. They should be pretty good at the constraints and understand primary keys, foreign keys and all. And sometimes what happens is the our web applications performance are very bad. And if you find the root cause, it lies inside the SQL queries. Maybe the SQL query is messed up or not tuned, etc. You never know what kind of work a Java full stack developer will get at what time. Sometimes we might be asked, to improve the performance of this application, the enterprise application. So a lot of tuning gets in. So you have been extensively working on React, and suddenly for 1 week you are just working on the database side. So the flexibility is of the key. You should not try to be focus on only the front end part or the back end part. You should be very flexible. How does a full stack application works? Typically you get input from the front end and like React, and then that generates a REST API request. The Spring REST service or the Spring Boot application consumes that particular request, checks with the database, gets the output and generates a response. That response is given back to React again and the result is displayed. So many technologies come in. Now, when you want to become a Java full stack developer, there are different technologies you need to be learned, like core Java, which builds a strong foundation, object oriented principles like abstraction and encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, packaging, creating components, etc. Your database concepts have to be very good. So you should have the knowledge of CORDS rules, then RDBMS concepts, what is a table, what is a view, what is a cursor, right? What is an index? You should be very good at writing SQL queries. And then coming back to the Java side, how do you write JDBC, Java database connectivity, and connect with the database? You, you should know Hibernate. Hibernate is the OR mapping tool. It connects, so instead of worrying about writing raw SQL queries and raw inserts and updates and deletes, you're going to use the Hibernate API, and Hibernate internally converts your Java objects to the SQL and does it. So Thereby, Java developers don't have to extensively write manual SQL in a Java enterprise application. You're going to also learn about Spring Boot, how do you build REST web services. You're also going to learn about React, the modern web application. The After React, the next focus is going to be on Spring security. That's where you're going to talk about JWT, OAuth authentication, and all kind of thing. It's not important to just develop a Spring REST web service. You need to make it highly secure so that it doesn't land up in the wrong hands. So somebody who doesn't have access to your REST API should not be able to call even via Postman or whatever it is. Nowadays, when you are developing Spring microservices application, where each service been is independent, it takes care of its own functionality, its own REST API, it has got its own database, and it is getting deployed independently, etc. So instead of one service calling another service, we're going to use Kafka messaging, where after one service it publishes an event and other services will consume that event and do the needful. Thereby what we are doing is we are decoupling the services. In 2026, AI is the main. And how about building an AI assistant which internally talks to our Java enterprise application? Like imagine if you are developing an employee management system, and you ask your AI assistant how many employees are highly paid. Nice, interesting question. Like how many people are on leave. So let's say that you want to give hike. So you wanted to get the list of high performing employees, etc. So you can prompt it like you do it in Chat GPT and Claude and all. You prompt it, and Spring AI agents are going to connect with the Java enterprise application, fetch that information, and give you back. This is a very good addition to the Java full stack development. That's the reason I always say Java is evolving. Instead of writing just code, you need to know as a Java full stack developer how the version management happens using GitHub. How do you package an application using Docker? How do you run Java application in cloud? And just deploying a web application or an enterprise application is not enough. But when the application is running, how do you measure the health of your application? That is actually done by observability, so logs and matrices and traces, etc. So finally, if if you want to become a Java full stack developer, then you need to be master of many things. Like there is a saying, right, that you should be master of one instead of jack of all trades. It's actually the reverse in case of Java full stack developer. There are so many technologies, so you should be good at it. So instead of being good at only one thing, I would rather prefer being good at many technologies. That's how the flexibility comes, because in case of modern software development, you never know work comes from which direction. So what is the roadmap for a Java full stack developer? Assume you are a fresher, or you are a new engineer, or you don't have any Java full stack experience. Start with core Java. Understand the Java language basics, object oriented programming, arrays, strings, methods. Understand object oriented programming like inheritance and polymorphism, exception handling, collection classes, etc. The second thing, after core Java, you focus on databases. Here you talk about RDBMS concepts, learning DDLs like how do you create a table, how do you alter, update, delete, and also the SQL queries. So now you're good at the core Java and the database. Then you come back to Java and learn about how do you write Java applications to connect to the database. Learn JDBC, Hibernate, JPA, etc. After you're good at building database applications using Java, I think you should use DAO pattern, the data access object pattern, to provide an interface like DAOs to connect to the database, etc. After the Java and DB, the next thing you focus on is the Spring Boot application. That's where you develop REST web services, and just building REST APIs is not good enough. The fifth part is you get into security. So how do you validate, and how do you handle exception handling? How do you log in? How do you provide authentication using JWT, etc. After securing your REST web services, you should focus on front end. That's where React comes into picture. How do you build modern web applications using React, which connect to the Spring REST service as far as the backend is concerned? Now, so this is a minimal knowledge as far as Java full stack is concerned, but not enough. Modern full stack developers should know how to do asynchronous messaging, event based streaming like Kafka. How do you build microservices? So instead of having a large monolithic application, how do you build individual microservices which can handle, so that there is absolutely nothing called downtime of your large enterprise application? How do you package using Docker? How do you build logs, etc.? So that's where scaling comes into picture. And finally, the most interesting thing is how to build an AI assistant, build agents using Spring, and fetch information from our application and give it back. This is very interesting, and nowadays every Java full stack developer should be knowing how to build AI agents. So this is the modern Java full stack roadmap for you if you are in 2026. Yes. So okay. Now core Java. So there is a saying actually, is at least one programming language you should learn thoroughly. I don't care about whether it is C or C++ or Java or Python or C sharp, because if you learn one programming language correctly, you have a solid grip on it, then you understand variables, data types, operators, conditions, loops, array strings, methods, how do you write classes, how do you objects, constructors, inheritance, etc. So see, I know Python, but I actually learned all these concepts in C++. So if you want to have a long career in software development, you pick up one language and you master it, and assume so that you're trying to learn Java full stack development now, and so pick core Java and be very good at it. Yes, most of the Java full stack developers, what they do, they learn core Java, they learn JDBC, Hibernate, they develop some simple Spring REST CRUD application. They think they are full stack developer. This is not going to work in 2026. You need to add to your skill sets, how to build Spring REST, Spring microservices, how do you build asynchronous messaging applications using Kafka, how do you run applications using Google Cloud or AWS or Azure, how do you improve tracing of your application using logs, observability, and how do you build AI agents using Spring? So there are a lot to add to your skill set. You just can't develop Spring REST web services and call yourself as a Java full stack developer. It's actually not going to work out. Yes. So this is a big discussion which happens. Is Java dead, or has Python taken over Java? Actually, what I'm trying to say is, you have to think about the last 25 years. Already companies like banks or insurance companies or finance companies or securities or in all kind of manufacturing companies, they've they're mostly invested in three things: a very good infrastructure in terms of data centers. They have used Linux as an open service for production deployment. They've used Java as a core language, right? And they have mostly used good databases like RDBMS like SQL Server or Oracle, etc. So if you see, you have to think about 2026, but you have to also think that from past 2000 onwards, the number of enterprise applications which has been built. So the question is, what happens to those applications? They needs to be maintained, they needs to be enhanced, etc. Now Java, the latest version is 26. So I have started following Java from the beginning of 2000, and every new release of Java, it has evolved, it has added value. Java always tried to mm, add more features and be relevant to the market. So Java has evolved, like collection classes, generics, lambda expressions. Now we talk about streaming API. Every new version comes up with some new features, and thereby Java says that, I'm relevant, I have evolved, I'm not dead. So that is something, which we need to understand. So Java is still a major contender for enterprise applications, because it is not that easy to rewrite uh, existing enterprise applications and completely move to Python. Maybe the number of lines of code will be less, the boilerplate code will be less, but that's a big debate, saying that will you be in a position to get the exact functionality what you had in Java again when you rewrite in Python. So I think most of the enterprises will still bet on Java to maintain the existing applications and evolving it. Yes, Python will find its own place, and new applications will be built using Python, and they they'll build web services using Python, using fast API. Python is more closer to AI and all. So I can tell you, maybe it will take time. So but still I see another 5 to 10 years Java is pretty much rocking. Yes. Now there are two options, whether you want your application to be synchronous or you want your application to be asynchronous. Let's say that, think of Zomato kind of an application. You create an order. So when you place an order saying that I want to buy a pizza, now the order has been created. Now the order has to be given to another department which is for fulfilling. So they have to contact a restaurant. Now restaurants has to pick the order, the payment has to go through. Now you need to contact the delivery agent who picks up the order to deliver, and finally you have to notify you inside the Zomato app, saying that the order has been prepared, or the order is ready for delivery, or it is getting delayed, and all kind of things. Now there are lots of services coming into picture, like order service, order fulfillment service, restaurant service, or delivery service, etc. Now if it is synchronous, what happens is, um, if one of the services fails, the whole application comes down. Now Kafka is an asynchronous event streaming platform, where one service, that order placement service, will publish an event, and the remaining services like the restaurant service, or the delivery service, or the billing service, or the notification service, etc., will consume and do it. So when you decouple it, if one service breaks down, the whole system is still available. I think you have to invest a lot of time in understanding Kafka. If you are good at Kafka, you are a great Java full stack developer. Yes, Spring microservices is the one of the good, you need to be very strong with it. It's a good addition to the Java full stack kit. Now earlier we were developing large enterprise scale web applications. I would rather call that as monolithic application. Even a small piece of the whole thing is down, the whole application is down. When you are making a new enhancement, what you have to do, you have to shut down the whole application, you have to come up with a release, etc. Monolithic A large monolithic application have got his own issues about it. Now with microservices, what you do, you break all the use cases into individual services. So when you say individual service, it it has its own REST API. It will be deployed independently. It has got its own database, etc. Now these services via Kafka will interact. Now these services are clustered, etc. Now what happens is, if one service is down, the whole application remains. Netflix is built on microservices architecture, and in order to provide scalability, performance, etc., you need to build your application using microservices. So we have transition. So last 5 to 10 years, 5 years, companies have been extensively working on on breaking their large monolithic application into microservices. Microservices, you need to be very good at it if you want to become a Java full stack developer. Now, AI has playing a very important role in 2026. We're talking about ChatGPT or Claude A or Google's anti-gravity, etc. Every enterprise scale applications now, they'll want, like ChatGPT kind of integration. But how will ChatGPT know about your web application? The second question is, are you comfortable, opening up your whole application to ChatGPT? No, that is a big risk actually, because customers don't want their data to go out. That's where we need to build AI assistants, where we need to chat with LLM for public information, and we need to get information from Spring Boot as far as our application is concerned, right? And we should talk to databases and our company documents using RAG, etc. So for example, what happens is, if you want to make a query, like, um, give me the list of employees who are on leave today, or give me the top performing employees, or what if an employee says that, I have plans to go on vacation end of December, correct? Can you please tell me how many leaves I have? So the system actually provides an information saying that you have 10 leaves. Okay, can then the employee will say, can I apply for leave? The the, the AI integration part not only fetches information, gives it to you, but also performs actions where it creates a leave and it sends to for approval. Assume that that gets approved, and then say that congratulations, your leave has been approved. So this is a big transition. No longer we will be dependent on this modern front ends, even though it is React. Slowly, the the front end part will not be, what I meant by, I'm not saying it won't be relevant, but more than, we will not be dependent on information from front end. Rather than, the AI assistants will pick up and they will start, making all kind of actions, like like a, the CEO of a company might say that kick off this particular project, and then the project gets kicked off. No need to create, no need to go to the UI and go through those data flows and do everything. So I think we are up for some challenging times, and Spring Agentic AI is the solution for Java full stack developers for doing AI integration. It's kind of very interesting. Yes, I know this is a long video, but I thought that we should spend some time in understanding what do you mean by Java full stack development. So I'm trying to do my best to give as much as information. I know this is a long video, but I wanted to say that every point which I'm trying to say is makes sense, and you can take your time and you can learn about it. Now, just writing software code is not enough. We need to talk about other things also. So You need, as a Java full stack developer, you need to know Docker so that you can learn about how to package a Java enterprise application. How do you build and deploy automatically using CI/CD, using Jenkins, etc. How do you run services outside your laptop using cloud like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform? How do you, once the application is deployed in production, how do you know about the health of the application? So observability comes into picture, like how do you build logs or matrices or traces, etc. You need to learn about security. Security is the most important thing. So how do you do authentication and authorization using JWT, etc. Now our Java full stack developer, an experienced Java full stack developer, is mainly used in the company not to build applications but make it work well. That means you talk about maintainability, you talk about performance, you talk about scalability. These are all non-functional requirements. So you should learn about the database tuning, the caching. You should talk about how do you make your application scalable, etc. So I can say that an architect defines what needs to be done, and a Java full stack developer is the guy who can implement, the architectural requirements, like how do you cater to non-functional requirements, etc. Yes. So in this Java full stack tutorial series, this will be a complete hands-on program where we are going to code each and element of what we have discussed, and that's how we're going to bring meaning to the whole Java full stack series. So we're going to learn about Java using a project. Let's say I take an employee management full stack project. So we're going to build CRUD applications. We're going to do login and registration using JWT. We're going to build Spring REST web services using Spring Boot. We'll use React to build dashboards. We are going to use Kafka for events. We're going to split the whole monolithic into a certain individual services using microservices, and then we're going to build the AI assistant where I can prompt and I can get information about the employee data. So I would like to thank all of you for attending this video. And if you are a beginner or a fresher or a college student or Java learner, or you are a full stack developer trying to learn front end, or you are a front end developer trying to learn about backend and databases, you are actually welcome. And my only suggestion is you watch the video, you pause the video, you code along with me, you run it. You get stuck, please post your issues in the comment section. I'm going to help you in fix errors. I'll give you some assignments and all, and you build your application. Error handling, if you get errors, smile at it, is because that's the only way you're going to learn. A person who never got any error has not learned anything. Yes, you can build a very good career in Java as a Java developer or a backend or a full stack or a Spring Boot or microservices. Nowadays, AI developers are pretty popular in the market. So I see LinkedIn, it is flooded with still Java roles, and this is the exciting term to learn all these things and become a good Java developer. Yes. So thank you very much for attending this video. I hope you have a great career and you become a full stack developer. This is my wish. And in the next video, we're going to start with core Java basics. I'm going to set up JDK, set up Java path, install IDEs, create a Java project using Eclipse, and run Hello World. And I'm also going to talk about how is Java platform independent. Thank you for attending this Java series and looking forward for the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.